For the last year, we've been working hard to prepare Atticus 2 to be able to go absolutely anywhere in the world and to handle whatever the sea throws at us along the way. We finally feel like the boat is ready, but we still need to test all of these new systems before we can head across an ocean. So over the course of the next couple days, we're going to find out if Atticus is truly ready. All right, so one of the last things that I'm gonna do before we take off tomorrow is I'm going to figure out a place to stow all these lines. I'm sorry, Oso. He's really loved having these out here because he's been using it as a bed. I've been throwing them in our lazarette locker here, which is now our emergency locker. So I don't want to disrupt our ability at all to be able to get to our emergency equipment like our life raft, like our ditch bag. But I think there's just enough room in there for me to mount this handrail that I just picked up from Lowe's. And if I mount it against the aft bulkhead, I actually think that there will be enough room for the lines to kind of hang from that bar in a way that won't interfere with any of that safety gear. Okay, cool. So I think that that'll work. Desiree's putting the finishing touches on our ditch bag, and once that's all done, then we'll stow that in here along with the life raft. I think we'll have plenty of room and be able to keep things nice and tidy in there. All right, so next real little project is I've got to set up a flag halyard on our spreaders so that we're able to fly a Q flag and courtesy flags once we start sailing internationally. Basically, a Q flag is like a yellow flag that tells the country that you're entering, like, I haven't checked in yet, I'm not up to anything shady. And then courtesy flags basically are just little flags of that country that we have to raise and keep up while we're in that country. So basically, I've just got to go up and install this little block up on the spreader, and I've also got some line here that I'm gonna have to run through that block so that we can raise up flags whenever we need to. So the other day I was doing engine maintenance and changing out oil and fuel filters, and I noticed that our fuel filter from the Raycor was really full of like a black soot. So the other day I took out the sending unit and looked in, and sure enough, there was like a thin film of soot on the bottom of the tank. Basically, I think that when we hauled out at McOtter's for the winter, we had the fuel tank relatively empty for a couple months, and condensation was able to kind of build up in the empty tank, and that led to a bacteria infestation. But luckily, McOtter's has a fuel polishing setup, and so Danny from McOtter's is gonna set up that fuel polisher, and we're just gonna run the fuel through that system to make sure that all that gunk in the bottom of the tank gets filtered out. Every now and then as I move this thing around, you can see like bits of stuff getting pulled up into the hose. So that's the stuff that we would have potentially gotten clogged into our filters. The machine's sucking the fuel up, going through the filter, and then putting it back into the diesel fill where we normally put diesel into the tank. Pretty much what I'm doing here is like when you clean your pool, pushing this wand around into all the different corners and parts of the tank, and then that's sucking up the diesel, but also all those contaminants. Well, I think we're pretty much done. I haven't seen any chunks come up in a long time. It looks clean. What's going on here, bud?
Well, I'm just kind of reorganizing some of our pots and pans and storage. Since we're gonna have other crew cooking, they don't know my madness.
And how are you feeling?
Feeling like crap.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, I get like bursts of energy and I'm like, yeah, let's do this. I'm like pumping my music and just getting stuff done. And then all of a sudden I'm like, ugh.
So when are we leaving?
Tomorrow.
The boat is a total disaster. Like, you can see the quarter berth is just like completely full with crap, and that needs to be turned into a sea berth in like a couple days. But we do have a little bit of time, so we're basically tomorrow leaving Washington and heading to Beaufort, North Carolina. So we've just got to get the boat ready enough for a 2-day ICW trip. Then once we get to Beaufort, we can kind of get the boat ready to go offshore. But yeah, it feels really exciting that it's kind of finally coming down to the wire, like it's actually happening.
Doesn't feel like it yet.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when we're moving. At least we'll eat really well in the passage. I'm not seasick and throwing up all over the place.
All right, well, this is our last walk in Washington.
Yeah, it's so weird. It's funny because like I think this happens to us a lot, where we get in like project mode and we're like, if only we were out there seeing the world. And then we forget to like look around and realize like how lucky we have it where we are. And then I start thinking, oh my gosh, we're leaving Washington. I love Washington. It's beautiful.
I'm bummed, man. Like, well, I'm not bummed. I'm actually like super thrilled. But like I cannot wait to like get moving again, you know. It's gonna make it up there on the top list of places that we really loved living. Isla Mujeres, Bocas del Toro, Key West, and now Washington, North Carolina.
Yeah, definitely stolen my little heart. It gave us a little baby.
Yeah.
So thanks, Washington. Must have been love in the air. How do you feel, Capitan?
Good, although we just got one of those no rudder response errors that we got a long time ago and that I thought I had fixed, so I'm a little bummed about that. But it's a beautiful day, and the only other time that we've been underway with the new Bimini was on our way to Washington from McCotter's, and it was an overcast day. And so now that it's a nice sunny day, like it's beautiful, but I'm out of the sun. It's so nice, it's hard for me to not underestimate how much I like it.
Feels good to be moving. It's fun watching it through Oso's eyes. He's just hanging out on deck, watching the world go by. I'm like, we need to be more like him.
Okay, Oso,
on the road.
don't hit anything. Oso, you gotta watch where you're going. Don't look at me.
I just love being on the move again and being in the galley and seeing the world go by. Hi, baby. Is this for you?
That looks delicious. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Steak for breakfast.
Yeah, man, this is the life.
Yeah.
Not a care in the world, not a boat project to do, not a visa to send off. Feels very good.
Like I keep thinking, well, what do I need to do something
I know,
now.
me too.
And then I'm like, no, you don't have to do anything.
You just have to sit around.
And then like 5 minutes later, I'll be like, so what do I do next? I'm like, nothing.
I know, it's weird. Well, nothing really eventful happening underway on deck. Pretty much no traffic, no obstructions, no lobster pots. The wind's too light to sail, so we're just motoring through what feels like a huge, beautiful lake. So Oso and I are just hanging up on deck, catching up on some patron emails and messages, and Jordan, of course, is down below trying to troubleshoot the autopilot issue. I think he's just been reading the B&G manual for about an hour.
Well, after 6 months on our detour up to Washington, we are now officially back on the ICW. So it's kind of funny. It was 6 months ago, my dad and I took a right up the Pamlico and got off the ICW. I did not realize it would be a 6-month detour.
Well, we're back.
We're back. Yeah, we are definitely back on the ICW. There's quite a few boats getting towards the end of spring and close to summer. I think boats are heading back up north for hurricane season. Dude, I am living the ICW dream right now. I'm out of the sun. I got our remote control for the autopilot, and like whenever I need to adjust a little bit, I just push a button and it turns. But I'm up here in the shade and I've got really good visibility. Like I'm way up above the deck so I can see everything really well.
There's something kind of magical about touring the countryside by boat. We move so much slower on a sailboat than we typically do in our daily lives. And I find myself just staring into these beautiful vistas, both natural and man-made. Unconcerned with the world beyond the next bend, everything seems to slow down around me. I also love the idea of stumbling upon little pockets of personality in the middle of nowhere. So when Jordan said we had to pull over to get some diesel, I was excited to dive into a sliver of rural North Carolina. This is an interesting spot.
It's like a fuel dock and a seafood market. Please, no pets allowed.
Oh man, you stay here and be good, okay? How hungry are you, bud?
Pretty hungry.
Alright, you want to get this?
That'll work.
Cool. So I think what happens is the boats dock right here. They load up their catch right into that like basket right behind me. And then that's dumped into the building. Comes like right here. And then all of the catch ends over there. That's so cool. I've never been to a dock like this.
Well, we just got these jerry cans from our Amazon wish list, so thank you very much to those who contributed to that. I didn't realize that these are the new style jerry cans that don't have a vent, and they're very hard to fill. I just stuck the nozzle into one of the holes, and it pressurized the tank and sprayed diesel everywhere, like all over me.
How's the buddy? Is he good? Yeah?
So we're actually not going all the way to Beaufort today. We're gonna take 2 days to get there. We've been in kind of a rush the last couple weeks, and it'd be nice to take our time a little bit. So we're heading to an anchorage that's like about less than a mile away. It's really, really close. Yeah, we're just gonna hang out here in nature for the evening before heading on to Beaufort tomorrow.
Stopping. That's my favorite moment of every passage, is dropping the hook, turning the engine off. Oso is ready to play.
This is our first night at anchor since, I guess the last time would have been in the Chesapeake. It's like I want to relax, but there's technically a lot for me to do still. Nice catch, buddy. Oso's got hops, man.
I know.
We need to get Oso like a Stairmaster and then just have like a treat at the top of the Stairmaster, you know?
Well, so much for relaxing. Jordan is up on deck doing his Jordan thing, just taking things apart and frowning and testing and screwing and unscrewing things. Did you think you were gonna get away from boat projects tonight?
Yeah, I did. I'm trying to troubleshoot exactly what was going on with those errors that we were getting with both the Autopilot, and also we got a couple errors involving the NMEA 2000 network in general. I started snooping around, and right here, this is under, oh boy. Whew, nice, Jordan. That would not be good if that went over. So back here behind the GPS is where the power supply for the NMEA network is. And I noticed that right here, this butt connector in the power supply for the CAN bus network, for the NMEA 2000 network, seemed a little bit loose. So I pulled on the wires, and sure enough, the positive wire popped right out of this butt connector. So I'm gonna cut this old butt connector off and reconnect these wires, and hopefully that'll solve that problem. Yep, that's in there really good. That's not going anywhere. Okay, well, it's working, so at least I didn't screw anything up. At this point, the only real way that we're gonna tell if that solved the problem is if we never get that error again.
Somebody is very playful. I've got these gorgeous Swiss chard, got my quinoa, fresh flounder, and some fixins. Ooh, it's hot in here.
Well, I've had the instruments on and the Autopilot kind of doing its thing for like an hour now. I haven't gotten any alarms. So, well, there's no way to know for sure. If we don't get any more alarms like all day tomorrow, I'll consider it mission accomplished.
Well, hopefully you got it fixed. Finally feels nice to sit down and relax.
Just in time for the sunset.